All right, picking up where I left off with the motion, the problem we had is when I hit an arrow key, it's kind of it goes, lags, and then starts moving. So it's fine except for that lag. I don't like that, and it's going to make it really awkward to play a game. So we're going to talk about the control tab. All right, lots of loops, basically just ways to control your program. All these loops you did in the code.org, they're going to show up in here. So repeat loops, forever loops, and then of course if statements. I know some of y'all didn't like the if statements we did back with Excel. This is way easier. I promise, way more intuitive. Instead of writing a really long, obnoxious line of code separated by commas, you just drag intuitive things in here, and it's much better. So what I want this program to do now is to be looking for when these different arrow keys are pressed, um, but then execute some kind of function when they are. So what I want to do is start with a forever loop, and I'm going to put it right underneath my green flag. I'm actually going to get rid of all these four separate things. This sensing was okay, but it wasn't the best. So we're going to try to do a little bit better. So I've got a forever loop, and we're going to think back to the if statements. Let's start here. If I press the left arrow, what do I want it to do? I want it to change my X position. So let's do an if statement. Just an if, doesn't have to have an else with it. So just an if statement. And if statements, actually all these control things, they have little sort of hexagon, pointy looking holes in them. All of those things are in your sensing category, your sensing tab. All right. So anything that has a little pointy side to it can fit in there. And these are made like puzzle pieces to help you organize what goes where. If it's rounded like this, it's actually a variable, which we'll eventually get to. Those won't fit in there. Watch this. If I try to fit that in there, it just doesn't let it because it's not the right type of input. So sensing, things you can do. If things are touching the mouse or touching the edge, we can make it touch another sprite, make it do something. So you can make one sprite sense another sprite, edge, mouse, all kinds of things. So that can be helpful. If your sprite touches something, make it do something. Similarly, you can do if it's touching a certain color. We'll use that eventually to make something that can follow a track. If one color is touching another. So different sensing, they're pretty intuitive. I want to sense when the left arrow key is pressed. So I'm going to come down here and find the key, and it says space press, but I'm going to change that to left arrow. And it fits right in there really nice. Now, when that's pressed, I want to change the X by -10. All right, I'm going to hit the flag and see if that looks better. Yeah, it's much smoother. So if I go right, it does that lag thing. But when I go left, it's nice and smooth now. So much smoother motion. Okay. So I'm going to repeat this, and I just want to do it for the different directions. So I'm going to do a right arrow. Notice how it's real blurry. It's actually stuck in what's called a infinite loop. That used to crash old computers. Fortunately, they're safeguarded against that now. So I can hit the stop button, and that just stops it from executing. It might slow things down if you keep that there. I'm going to ditch the -10 and bring in that X moving in the +10 direction, because if I'm moving to the right, we are going to the positive axis. All right, pull in a couple more if statements. So if, and I'm going to duplicate by right-clicking on that sensing. I'm going to copy the if right arrow, but I'm going to change it to the up arrow. And I'm just going to pull in this. We want the Y to go up by 10 if that happens. And I'm going to start ditching some of these. I don't need those anymore. And notice it got blurry again. I'm going to stop it just so it doesn't take too much processing. All right, pull another if in here because I haven't done the down arrow yet. So I'm going to right click to copy, duplicate, change that to down arrow, and then change Y by -10. And I'm going to ditch that. So now it's all kind of together, and I'm going to rerun it and see what happens. So the motion is much smoother now. There's no lag when I hit a button, and I can make it move kind of multiple, like a diagonal. I hit two buttons at once. So that's kind of nice. All right. So I like all that. One more thing to make it look a little better. Not it's not going to be like 3D graphics, but let's make the cat's feet move when it walks. So not only do I want to change the X position, but I want to change the costume, because if I look at costumes, the feet are in two different positions. So I can make the feet go back and forth. So what I'm going to do is switch to costume. Doesn't really matter. Switch to costume 2 as long as we switch back to something else. And under control, there is a wait command. So I'm going to make it wait very small amount of time, maybe 0.1 second. We'll see what that looks like. And then I'm going to switch the costume back to costume 1. So I'm under looks, switch costume, and let's put it as costume 1. All right. So let's see how that looks when I walk. So he's a little fidgety looking. It's not the smoothest. But anyway, if you want to animate something, that is a way we can do it. We'll talk about smoother ways to make that happen. It's almost like you're doing a little slide dance here. And maybe we want to play with the time. I just want to see what it does. And it's always kind of fun to see what it does. Hit the green arrow to make it go. That's almost too laggy. Something we could do too is to make it wait each time it switches. So wait, switch to this costume, wait at 0.1 second, switch to this one. And we can put another wait there. So, oops. And then let's do that 0.1 also. So that way, go to a costume, wait, move, go to a different costume, wait. And it might make it look a little smoother, a little more natural. So let me slide them over. Yeah, the walking's a little more natural looking. So we can certainly add something like that to all these blocks to make it a little more natural looking. But that's sort of an idea how you can make things a little more animated.